What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we got Ash on the channel, guys. We're gonna talk about the best epics that we're using on our endgame accounts, right? Kind of like the only epics that we're running, or the most used epics on our accounts. What's up, Ash? How are you doing, buddy?
Skratch! I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. A pleasure to have you on the channel. We have quite a few things happening in the game. And guys, make sure you head over to Ash's channel as well. We actually did a different video there where we talked about the rare champions that we are using in endgame on our accounts. You know, when you have most of the champions available on your account, you're gonna stay and be like a bit confused. What should I use now? I have all these options. Do I really need to use rares? But there are some very strong rares and epic champions that, regardless how many legendary champions you have or what legendary champions you have, they're still very powerful and everybody uses them in the endgame. So we just want to make sure you guys are getting the right list, you know? Ash, since you're the guest, if
Sure.
you want to add something to it or just to...
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that, like, even if you're not in the end game, even if you start playing tomorrow, some of these champions, they might not really represent their true value, so to speak, until you progress more inside the game. So they're definitely worth at least, you know, keeping your hands on, not using as food, especially in the rare, you know, champions.
Absolutely,
but yeah, sure, dude. I will go first, my friend, and I'm just going to take, I think, my favorite epic in the game first.
Let's see.
Get her out of the way with, and it's Ugo, man. Ugo. She's a monster. I need to rebuild my Ugo. But she's a monster. She got Leech on the A1. She's got decreased defense and block buffs on the same ability. I said this before many times, but like, what I love about a champion, like what really gets me going on a champion is when they can serve like two crucial roles in one champion, right? So we've got a decreased defense champion, also a block buffs champion, also a mini cleanse and a heal. Like they just don't, there's no champion like that who brings all of that to the table, certainly not an epic. And it makes her incredibly special. So you get support, you get heal, you get leech, you get decreased defense and block buffs. Amazing. I use the heck out of her in Hydra, but I use her obviously in Faction Wars, other areas as well. A bunch of secret rooms. So yeah, Ugo.
Absolutely. Totally agree on her. I'm running her on my Hydra teams as well. She is very, very powerful. Now, at the very start, when we started using block debuffs champions for Hydra, and how Hydra was working at that time with the very first rotations, I was really saying like, no, I like Umbral Enchantress more, but not anymore. That changed, you know. So Ugo is definitely the best option when we're talking about that. And talking about it, since we are near Hydra and stuff like that, I'm really using a lot Husk, man. I know it's pretty obvious, but with the buff, kind of like buff, the nerf to the Hydra and the buff to Husk, the provoke is actually amazing on him. So I rebuild my Husks. I give them accuracy now. I have them on Relentless, I think. So I'm counting on them to keep the Hydra provoked all the time, you know. So it's very, very nice. Tons of damage as well. And always using the A1. I never use the A2, you know. With the A1, you have that provoke. It's not a huge chance to do it, but it's still a pretty good chance, you know. And then the enemy max HP hit is amazing. He's a very tanky champion because he's an HP-based one, so I'm a massive fan of Husk, you know?
Yeah, so you shut off his A3, the Retaliate?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of underwhelming, you know, damage. But yeah, I totally agree with you, the rest of the kit. And that's interesting that you're using him as a main provoker as well on the A1, so maybe I'll do the same. Maybe I need to go in there and change my accuracy on my Husk as well. But yeah, totally agree with you, man. Definitely a Hydra DPS machine.
Oh, yeah.
And good for control in, like, you know, the mid and the end game, or the mid and the early game too, with stuns, you know?
Absolutely. Waves on dungeons if you need in Faction Wars. He was part of my Faction War team the very first time when I beat the faction, actually. So he's very solid, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. I'm going to go with Dark Kale. Dark Kale is a beast of a champion, man. He's got the instant activations on his A1 on a triple hitter, which makes him, you know, quintessential for half of my dungeon teams. I run Poison Combust teams with Eleanor on Dragon and on Fire Knight as well. I kind of flirt with the idea a little bit on Ice Golem, so Dark Kale's a huge part of all those teams. Once we get to the bosses, I simply turn off his A2 and his A3, and he's just going in there and instantly activating every single time that he goes, which makes him the damage carry on the team. And then for waves, he's increasing debuff duration, and he's placing poisons, 3 poisons, and poison sensitivity himself as well. So Dark Kale is just a really incredible champion. Also his passive, I think most people probably realize that your viewers are smart, Skratch. They probably already know this, but a lot of new players don't realize that 15% crit rate is good for pretty much every boss in the game. You know, like they only have 15 to 30% crit rate. Yeah. So he's mitigating that with his passive as well. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite epics in the game.
Absolutely. He's a very, very solid champion, and you can get him for free, guys. He is a Doom Tower champion. The problem is you gotta wait a bit to get him. You're gonna have to grind quite a few secret rooms, quite a few months. But once you're gonna get him, you're gonna use him because he is one of those champions that definitely fits well in an endgame team, you know.
Absolutely.
You got Theodore now, right? How are you feeling about it? Are you planning to replace him with Theodore, you think, at some point? Or you're trying to combine them maybe together? Because I feel like together they'll be very powerful, yeah.
So I have Theodore in my inbox, and I'm waiting for Clan vs. Clan to claim him. Gotcha. So I haven't used him or built him yet. However, it has taken a lot of discipline to wait, honestly, you know? So I want to use him now. But I want to experiment with him. You probably have a better feel for this than I do in the end game, what people are doing with him. But I want to experiment, like, you know, teaming him up with other, like Eleanoril, and see like how that works. I don't have Calvalax, so I'm not 100% sure. What is like the best teams that you've seen with him?
Yeah, that's the thing. Calvalax. I don't have Calvalax either. So again, seems like we're in the same boat all the time, man. Something is happening here with our accounts.
What's going on here, man? What's going on, Plarium? But yeah, anyway, I'm excited to try him out.
Definitely, yeah. I built him as well. It's pretty fun, but I don't have Calvalax either, so I can't go too crazy on it.
Yeah.
Talking about more dungeons, I'm gonna move over to the next champion, and that's going to be Allure. I'm using her quite a bit, so I'm using her on the Fire Knight team. 100%, she's an amazing champion, because I'm not going with Poison Detonation there. The A1 is the best decreased thermometer skill in the game for a basic skill. Nobody else can do what she does. Attacks 3 times at random, decreases the thermometer by 25 on each critical hit, so very nice. I'm running her on the Dark Fae, very powerful there as well. This is kind of like the main thing that matters on her when you're in the very end game. Now, of course, having the A2, AoE attacks, all enemy 2 times. Each hit has a chance to place a decreased defense, the small version, and a chance to sleep the enemies that are under defense down. Can come in hand pretty good if you are trying to progress through the game or you're running the champion in a different place. And the A3 can smack pretty good because she ignores 50% of the target's defense, and she already has a 30% chance to inflict a critical hit, so you only need like 70, you know. But Allure, she's a very solid champion, and she looks amazing as well, you know. So I feel like she ticks all the boxes.
Absolutely. I have nothing to add there, Skratch. You said it perfectly, and I am the queen of control with the Psychic Whip ability, so I also use her and rely on her like so many players for Fire Knight, you know, and yeah, totally agree with you. I guess I'll go with a couple of obvious choices here.
Let's see.
Get them out of the way with, and I'm going to go with Geomancer, right? I mean, I think Geomancer's in the conversation with Ugo for like overall strongest, most versatile epics out there. You know, he has the AoE on the A1, nice to have. He's removing buffs on the A2, cool. And then he's placing the HP burn and the weaken with synergy between the Stone Guard and the A3. It just equals a ton of damage, not to mention damage mitigation as well. Just what a great champion. You know, if you're looking for damage and someone who can stay alive and help keep your team alive a little bit too with the deflection, look no further than Geomancer. So definitely use him very heavily on Hydra. And I know we use him in some other areas in the game as well. I just can't think off the top of my head. A couple Doom Tower bosses.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's great for some Doom Tower bosses as well. He just melts. Like, this passive is so freaking powerful, and he is kind of like a killing machine for the Hydra, man. Like, especially for this current rotation that we have right now, he is so freaking powerful. When you have the Head of Decay and the Head of Wrath on, because both of them, they have AoE attacks as their main skills, he becomes even more powerful because he gets to deal so much damage. But Geomancer is a beast, you know. I'm running 2 on my Nightmare team, 1 on my Brutal team on this rotation, yeah. And the last one as well.
I need to build a second for that very same reason, because whenever I don't use, or whenever I use them, I'm always like, wow, I wish I had Geomancer, you know? So I think it's a very worthwhile dupe build, you know?
Definitely, yeah. The next champion that I'm using very often on a daily basis is Maneater. This is a very obvious pick as well. I'm running a Barrier comp, so expect to see another very obvious choice in a bit. He's just amazing for my Clan Boss team, you know, like, you can use him in other places as well. I'm running him in Faction Wars as well, so he's part of my Faction War team, part of my Clan Boss team, but daily use on the Clan Boss team. Some epics, you are using them, but not daily, you know. This bad boy right here, I'm seeing his face every single day. And we have attack down on the A1, we have deplete the thermometer on the A2. which can come in hand against the Spider, against the Ice Golem, against the Fire Knight. And we have that Unkillable with block buffs on all the team for 2 turns, which is very, very nice, And
it's an insane kit,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like they don't make. I'm gonna sound like an old timer here, but I feel like they don't make epics like that anymore. Right?
I know,
like,
right?
This is like.
I mean, the meta was very solid when she came, but she still doesn't bring so much to the kid to the team like this guy. Like he was such a game changer when they introduced Man-Eater. It's crazy, actually. Yeah.
It really is. And as A1 as A2, people sleep on those, how effective they can be for non-endgame players, for unkillable teams. He has a lot of versatility. I love the decreased attack on everybody on the A1. That's pretty nice. Okay. Next up, I have, dude, I'm going to cheat, man. I hope you're not mad at me. But I had to do a quick tie, right? Because I could not narrow it down between these two. And they're similar, but different, too.
Okay.
And it's Madame Ceres.
Yeah.
And Ryan the Conjurer, right? And I use them in the same sort of way. They're both arena goddesses. Midnight Ritual is just an insane ability, probably the most used epic champion inside Platinum Arena or Gold 4 Arena or Gold 5 Arena. Like, she's just insane with this ability. And then she brings a lot to the table, too, with the block debuffs, True Fear, and chance of stealing on the A2. And she has a cool passive with a shield on herself every turn, chance of placing Fear. And then Ryan, I'm curious to see if you agree or disagree with me here, but, like, I'm really high on Ryan the Conjurer. I think that people unfairly compare her to just Madame Ceres and say, she doesn't have the decreased defense in the weekend, and the decreased attack, but she does have the big version of weekend, and she's still 100% to remove all buffs. It's on a 3-turn cooldown instead of a 4, which is not super relevant for the arena, but she's reviving as well. The revive isn't anything to write home about. It's not like insane or anything, but to have her on a go second team, I run her in Stone Skin on a go second team, and she's removing buffs, she's placing weekend, she's reviving anybody who needs it, right? So, like, I think that you can have a lot of fun with Ryan the Conjurer. I think she's a really cool and versatile champion in similar ways, and also different than Madame Ceres.
Yeah, I feel like she's pretty good even for Hydra, man. If you just compare Ryan with Madame just for Arena, yeah, I can see why people are saying, okay, she's not as good as Madame Ceres. Sure. She brings so much to the table, which is more important because you're going against tanky champions, you're going against nukers, so you need to have that decreased attack to help to keep your team alive. But Ryan can definitely fit in some teams for Arena as well. She can be very powerful because she has weaken instead of defense down. So if you're going against champions with low defense but high HP, defense down is now really effective. Weaken becomes way more powerful than that. And I feel like she's definitely pretty solid all around, even for PvE. I think she's a bit more solid in my opinion because of the revive block buffs on the A1,
Yeah, absolutely. And she looks so badass, man. Like, I like her weapons and stuff. And
she looks sick, like very, very nice as a champion. Awesome design. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So sorry for the tie. Who you got next?
I'm gonna go for Doom Priest.
Okay.
So
good choice.
I'm using Doom Priest pretty often. She is part of a lot of secret room teams, secret and bosses, and just all around faction wars. She's just so amazing. That passive, dude, like, it's hard to beat. Having a passive like hers is hard to beat. You're getting a bit of heal. You're getting a debuff removed all the time from all your team. You have increased attack. The A1 randomly gives a bit of crit rate to some of your champions. Speed for force champions only. Pretty good base stats all around. And I feel like she's one of those OG champions that's here to stay,
Yeah, no, totally agree. I use her on my clan boss, so I'm right there with you. She's just that passive is just so solid, It's nice to have a simple kit like that sometimes. You're just like, okay, you come in and you do your job, but it's not even predicated on really anything other than taking a turn,
Exactly.
It's nice to have. So in that vein, my second champion, you could actually kind of compare him a little bit to that, not directly to Doom Priest, but in that sense that having strong passives, and it's Vogoth. Vogoth with that heal on Festering Dynamo is really a game changer, It's like he is a massive, one of the best support tank healers in the game. I run him in a curing set, extra 20% heal. Is it 20 or 30? 20? Actually,
I
think
can't
it's 20%.
remember. Yeah, 20.
Yeah,
I
they
think,
buffed it. I think it's 20. But that extra heal really does matter a lot to have a massive impact. That plus masteries on that passive, because the heal is so incredible anyway, right? So I use him on Bommel, and I use him on Nether Spider. I used to use him on one of my Go Second teams in the arena. I have since replaced him. Nothing against Vogoth, but had a better option. I think at Ursaga or something in that spot. But just an overall just beast of a support champion.
Absolutely, he's very powerful. Giant Slayer on the A1 as well, because he's a triple hitter that makes him great for other content if you don't want to use him just for arena. But he's very solid, very unique as a champion. And even now I remember when they released Vogoth, me and my clanmates, we were like, that's it. We're putting 2 in our arena team. Nobody can kill them, you know? We're like, that's it. We got it, guys. We found the secret. But it didn't work like that. But he's a very solid champion. I'm using him against Bommel as well. I'm using him in quite a few other places as well, actually. Very, very solid epic champion, yeah.
He really is. He really is. Okay, you have one more, I think?
Yeah, I have one more, and actually it's from the same faction, so just on point. Seeker. Now, I'm using him daily on my clan boss team. I'm using him, even for arena, as a Go Second team is a good option. I kind of dropped that as well, because I have better options like Nacret and champions like that. But having the passive that he has, not only for clan boss, right? Increased defense whenever he gets a crit hit. And that's going to go on your entire team. You put him as the lead, he already has an arena defense aura, right? So that's going to give you 30% more defense to your entire team. You put him in the lead, he's going to get the first crit. He's going to proc defense up on all your team, keeping them alive, or at least helping them. Then you have increased attack and fills the turn meter by 30%. That's a lot of turn meter, right? And gains an extra turn, making that skill basically on a 2-turn cooldown. That's how we are able to make 2-to-1 ratio teams with him for clan boss, because that extra turn and 30% turn meter is huge. And he has a chance to provoke on the A1. So all around, I feel like Seeker is very, very solid. For arena, I do have him built on a shield set. A bolster set will fit on him amazing from here on.
That's true. That's true. Agree with everything you said, Skratch. I mean, he's a beast. I use him in Clan Boss as well, and just what a unique and really cool. He can be. I love that he can be just as effective on a Go Second or Go First team in the arena.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's really, really cool, you know? I used him. He was like my arena speed booster for so long, probably like a year and a half playing this game, you know, before I finally was able to get like an upgrade. And I forgot who I'm even using instead. But either way, Seeker's a beast. I have one more. I'm not sure if I went too many.
I'm not sure either, but we'll get it, because I think I have one more as well. Yeah.
Okay. Royal Guard, right? So everything you said about Husk, I'll say about Royal Guard minus the provoke, I guess, right?
Yeah,
he's
pretty
going
much.
to decrease defense instead, but he's doing a lot of damage with his, his takedown ability, and he's great for Hydra clan. I use him in the Hydra clan boss. And, he's great for, earlier stage dungeons, even some later stage dungeons. He's like on the fastest team for Fire Knight as well. So just a really, really good champion, right? A very, very unique epic champion with all that damage on the takedown.
Absolutely. He's a beast. I think I have 5 or 6 copies of him at level 60. So I'm a massive Royal Guard fan.
God,
I know, right? Yeah, I am.
So have you run them all together against Spider? Do you just take it down and...
No, because on stage 25 it doesn't work like that.
Oh yeah,
anymore.
it's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah.
But I have clan quests, kill 1,000 spiderlings or something like that, and that's when I'm going on stage 20, chuck in there 4 Royal Guards, the defense down, and just wipe wipe everything off, you know. But basically, I have one designated to the Fire Knight, which is on Savage, build with a lot of attack, accuracy, and all the stuff that he needs. The ones that I'm using for the Hydra, on the other hand, I'm not using accuracy on them. I gave them instead a bit of more survivability, because I have either a decrease, either I have a different champion that can land that decreased speed or the defense down. You know, so I have options to fit in that role.
I do the same thing.
But if you don't, having accuracy on them, I actually have clanmates that are using him with accuracy for the decreased speed on the A3 or to have the defense down, and it can come in handy quite well, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm the same as you. I run them in reflex just to get more takedowns on Hydra clan boss, and with no accuracy, because I usually run a Nekmo Thar or a Mother Cybele or a Krisk, to your point, as well, for that decreased speed. But if you don't have any of those options, decreased speed is such an important debuff to have. So effective against Hydra clan boss. So totally agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I have
was
one
your last
more.
one?
And
yeah,
again, talking about Hydra, people will be like,
okay.
Let
me guess. Let me guess. Is it a male or female?
He's a male.
That was a long hesitation, bro.
I was like,
all right,
okay, should I say it? Should I just throw it out there?
Just
like,
say who it is. Who is it? I was going to guess Shamael. Oh, okay.
Okay, you were going for that. I mean, that's why I was like, okay, should I tell him? Because I'm pretty sure he's gonna guess it, you know? Inquisitor Shamael, yeah. People will be like, can you guys stop talking about Hydra? But guys, Hydra is very important. Very, very important.
Yeah.
Actually,
and it is Endgame, you know, like, and that was the question: is who do you use most in the
Endgame?
Because
I've actually done a video the other day, like, kind of explaining everything that you should do in the Endgame. What's kind of like the secret of Endgame? What you should farm? How can you get 700 plus accuracy on your champions without farming dungeons? You know, and stuff like that. Hydra, faction wars is pretty important actually, because there are a lot of things that people skip on their daily basis. You know, and these are kind of like the things that skyrocket your account. But Inquisitor Shamael, let's get back to him. On the A1, he attacks one enemy, has a chance to decrease the duration of a random buff. The A2 is a triple hitter. Now, if you don't run him in your faction wars or Hydra, for example, this skill right here can deal so much freaking damage, guys. Give him a few buffs, and he ignores 100% defense. He's gonna just wreck opponents. He has a very nice passive, that's why we're using him for the Hydra, especially when that Head of Torment is out. But he's instantly removing the fear or true fear. So he's very, very nice. Usually, I'm putting Geomancer in the lead, putting him in the 6th slot, and he's constantly giving him Thermeter whenever that fear procs, allowing Geomancer to rotate enough to keep HP burn on the entire team without using Relentless. That's how good they are together. Yeah, so they're awesome.
Yeah. That's a really good point there. And I think it was you, but I think I mentioned a long time ago that I have 2 copies of Inquisitor Shamael for Hydra, and one of them I had in a toxic set, and I believe that you were like, nah, or I forgot what you said, but you were like, I'm not a fan. Why is it? Because you just don't want him, you want to be able to dictate the speed of which you kill heads, and you can't do that when you have them in toxic?
You don't want to kill the Head of Torment, you know?
That's the worry.
Yeah, you want to keep the Head of Torment alive as much as possible. So I'm never putting HP burn on the Head of Torment. I'm putting HP burn on the other three heads, because like that, I'll get to keep that alive while I'm killing the other ones. And then I can slowly just deal more damage like this, you know?
Okay, makes sense. I wanted a little clarity on that, because I know I'm not the only one out there who ran, you know, a toxic, so I wanted to hear exactly why, but that makes sense, you know?
That's the reason, yeah, basically to keep the Head of Torment alive.
Cool, man. Well, there it is. That's our list, right?
Absolutely. I feel like this pretty much wraps all our lists here. But before we go, just a quick question, because we got Ultimate Dead Knight. I know you asked me on your channel, what do I think about it? Yeah. But what do you think about it now, you know?
Yeah, man. Well, I hate to say it. I feel like I've said it 10 times this video, but I agree with what you said on my channel, right? I think that, like, I mean, we're recording on this on the day that he's released, essentially, right? So
correct, yeah.
It's so there's probably going to be a little bit more time for people to kind of get their opinions out there. But I woke up this morning and I saw 2 videos basically saying how crappy of a champion he was and how disappointed people were. And I don't think he's like the game's best champion or a top 20 champion or anything like that. But I actually think that he's going to help out a ton of players. Imagine being, you know, a few months in and getting this champion, even unbooked. But if you get some lucky books on that A3, you know, that's the downside, right? Is they just need to make books easier to get, right? But I think the books are fairly reasonable. And I think that, you know, having that continuous heal, having the shield, bringing the decreased attack on the AoE, and that passive Too Awesome to Die, I think that he can actually, I think that in time we'll find a lot of really cool use cases for that passive, is my hunch. So I think that he can probably even be used in the end game in some use cases, and I think he's a pretty cool champ overall. Like, not game breaking, but pretty cool. You?
Yeah, I think he's pretty solid. Now, I've kind of gone wrong a couple of things with his passive. I didn't notice there was no cooldown on it and stuff. But because of it, that actually makes him even better than I thought he was, you know? So I'm feeling pretty positive about it. I feel like Platinum actually did a pretty good job with it. And I cannot wait to see the animations, right? Like, you have call upon the power of Mr. Nibbles to rain terror and scare legendaries.
Yeah,
like, come on, bring it on, you know? Bring me a pizza while you're doing it. I'm definitely excited to put my hand on him.
I like him a little bit better than Deliana and better than Alexander the Great. So and not as much as Ninja. So like, you know, grading against the other free champions from the 7-day chases, that's how I rank him.
Absolutely. Like, Ninja, he's so powerful because he's a damage dealer and he's so unique in that way, you know. But he's more of a support champion, and there's so many support champions in the game now. That's why people, they don't really value him as much. But once they're gonna get him and they're gonna start playing him around, and even if you're not in the extreme end game, you're gonna try him out most probably. And I feel like a lot of people will be well impressed, and they're gonna take back what they said now, you know. I feel like that's kind of like the case with the champion, yeah.
Dude, we were talking about this off air, but like, man, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people hated on Ninja when he was released.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, like, you can look at any champion for the most part. I think Helicath might have been like the only exception. But every fusion, every free champion, I feel like people just hate on them initially. And oftentimes we've discovered those use cases and those strategies in a month or 2 or 3 sometimes. And then everybody's like, oh yeah, I always liked that champion, you know?
And they're like, oh damn, I haven't fused him, or I fed this champion because I got angry. But yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Guys,
yeah, totally.
Make sure you head over to Ash's channel as well. We've actually recorded a different video there talking about the rare champions that we're using in the endgame. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Ash, a pleasure to have you on the channel, brother. And definitely stay tuned for the next videos to come, guys, because we'll be doing more collabs as always. Peace.